Is it back now?
Yes, the recording is back.
You can see my screen right now, Abi?
Yes, can see it clearly.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. You're welcome to this week's review with Great White FX. So as always, we're going to start off with the fundamental calendar for the week. So looking at this week, we have some high impact news, but not all that heavy. When I mean heavy, we mean like rate news or something like that. But we have major impact news for the Canadian dollar on Tuesday. Then we have Thursday. Seems like it's going to be a dull European session. And it'll be like we have bank holiday in France and Germany. Yes.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, please. I don't know if if it's 1 or 2 minutes for this fundamental news, like high impact news. I don't know how the trader know if a particular pair will buy or sell,
No,
like
I
from the news.
you for you to do that, you need to know what your bias is first. Because you don't just trade the news blindly. You need to know what the bias is first. Then when you know what the bias is first, then you then know what the news is going to do. If a currency pair is bearish, you know that the news might be used to drive the price in the opposite direction, then take it in the intended direction. That's where you have to understand most times that the market structure, most times once it's established, the news will only reinforce it. It's very rare before news will reverse a market structure in play completely. And when I mean a market structure, I'm talking of the daily and the weekly.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let me get back to the pairs that we have going into this week. So as always, we're going to start off with NASDAQ or US 100. So looking at this pair from the weekly, let me remove everything we have on this pair, leave only the annotations. This pair, let me hide all. If we're looking at this pair, this is a bearish order block on the weekly. And then we have this volume imbalance here that price has already filled. If we go into the daily, we can see that Friday closed as a bearish engulfing candle, which might be a move into this bullish order block. But if you go down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a shift in market structure here. So if we pull back our notations, then this is what we have. If we look at this on the daily, there's a fair value gap here. If we look at price on the daily, you'll notice that price is refusing to close above the fair value gap. So that points to the fact that going into this new week, we may see a bit of a retracement, maybe back because you already have a displacement and another block here. So price may retrace back because there's a 4-hour fair value gap here. There's a fair value gap here because we already have a fair value gap here on the 4-hour. Here, we already have a fair value gap here on the 4-hour. That's between this high and this low. So price may retrace into that area. If it gets rejected and closes back below this volume imbalance, then we are going to see this area. That's 12974.0. But for now, on the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frame is saying that we might be looking at a swing high here in place, and that we might see a corrective move to the downside, safe side, previous week's low. Previous week's low. That's what we have now on the 4-hour, because this was the last down candle before this up move. So that swing low has been broken. So we might see a little bit of lower side correction on this pair going into the new week. So the next one we're going to look at is the dollar index. Looking at the dollar index, one thing we would notice that the weekly has closed with a bullish engulfing candle. It has closed with a bullish engulfing candle. And if you look back, most times when it's rare before you have a bullish engulfing candle on the weekly that is rejected. Let's see, we had one here. After that, price continued to the upside. We had one here. After that, price continued to the upside. We had one here. Price continued to the upside. We had here. So we might be looking at a short-term low here. We might be looking at a short-term low here from the weekly perspective. Then if we go into the daily, we already have a break, or would I say a change in character here? A change in character here. It's clear if you go to the 4-hour time frame. I'll be zoom out a bit. This high has been broken. And this low was not at any time taken out. So price didn't make a new low. Instead, it made a new high, a higher low, and then took out this high. So on the 4-hour, we're looking at a bullish situation. So if we pull back our annotations, this is what we have. The possibility exists that this may retrace. It may retrace a bit, but should it retrace, you're looking at this 4-hour gap here to hold as support. Once this holds as support, then you're looking at first this swing high, then probably this high. Let me go back to the daily. I didn't I annotate all my highs? Well, okay. On the daily, this is what we have on the daily. If we go back to the daily, let me see. Well, I've been noticing something on TradingView. Most of my annotations are not picking up on all my charts. I've noticed that since Friday. And I don't know what the problem is. Like I have this buy side liquidity at 103.35. It's not showing on my 4-hour. I don't know why. I noticed that on Friday. I noticed that since Friday. So, because that was a buy side liquidity I was looking at when I was saying that if price retraces and holds above this volume imbalance on the 4-hour, then you might see price come for 103.05, then probably 103.35. So for this pair is bullish going into the new week. Any downside would be an opportunity for a continuation. You know, if you understand the running of price. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, something happened. I just don't know what happened. So if you understand the running of price, you know you're going to have you're going to have a little bit of a consolidation. That's the power of 3: open, high, low, and close. So price is going to retrace a bit. So that retracement is what I'm saying you might see here. So if we pull back our annotations, we might see a little bit of retracement into this area here. Then a continuation. So for next week, we're looking at a bullish dollar index. So if we look at the EURUSD, go to the EURUSD, start off from the 1-hour, from the weekly, we can see that we have a bearish engulfing. This is a morning star formation. No, an evening star formation, right? Hello. Hello.
It looks like a doji.
Yes, sir.
No, it's not. No, these are an engulfing. It's a bearish engulfing candle.
Yeah, before the bearish engulfing, that candle that's
you have two dojis. Those two dojis are this is a morning, this is an evening star formation. It's a bearish reversal pattern on the weekly. If you don't know what it is, just check it up. Check evening star formation on you can use
is it candlestick Bible.
yes, you can use Candlestick Bible, or you go to YouTube to check out for it. I think TradingView has a challenge. I'm seeing lines that I'm not supposed to see on my chart still showing up on my chart, and I don't know why. So going into the new week, seeing annotations that I'm sure I removed, but they are showing up on my chart. Going into the daily time frame, there's going to be a little bit of a retracement. There's going to be a little bit of a retracement on the 4-hour time frame. So if its price is going to retrace, you have this fair value gap as area first target. Although with the close of this candle here, you can see you have another fair value gap here. You can see you have a wider fair value gap to this area. So you might say price may try to fill this up, then continue back to the downside. So for the Euro USD, any rally will be an opportunity for a short. The same too goes for the GBP USD. The GBP USD has a bearish engulfing also on his weekly. And see, it has taken buy-side liquidity, above this place and a pullback. If you go back into the daily time frame, I see that price was close to this low, but didn't take it out. So we have major displacement here on the daily. If we look at the 4-hour, we already have a breaker formation on the 4-hour. We have a high, we have a low, higher high, and displacement. Price retraced a bit on Friday, then dropped. So if we pull back our notations, it depends on what the dollar index does. If the dollar index starts to drop first before rallying, then this is going to correct probably into this area here, because all these 4 candles, all these 4 up candles, they all form a bearish order block. They all form a bearish order block, and a bearish order block with the fair value gap. A bearish order block with a fair value gap. So this is what we have. So a bearish order block with the fair value gap. So this may retrace a bit, fill this up. Then if it starts to move lower, just like as I was saying, I'm having some issues with TradingView. Then we are going to have this relatively equal lows. If this starts to drop, this is where you'll be looking at price to come to 1.2351. Relatively equal lows here. That will be the draw on liquidity for next week. So the other pair we're going to look at is gold. Gold is much like in a consolidation, but it has made a lower high. It has made a lower high. So looking at this pair, it's very what I want to show is going to be clear on the 1 hour. We have almost like a slight market structure shifting. It's going to be clear if I switch to the line chart. Slight market structure shift. So this pair might still run up into this area. It might still run up into this area, fill this area, then the move down might continue. Because if it's to continue, we have liquidity here. All this area is all liquidity. So price might spike Friday's high, rally of spike Friday's high, and then continue back to the downside. So the view on gold for this week, rallies might be an opportunity for a short to the downside. Because if you notice, price came very close to this low, very close to it, and turned. So this will be the first draw on liquidity going into the new week. Then you have this here and all these locations here. So the next way we're going to look at is the EURGBP. The EURGBP, if we look at it from the weekly, we have a pin bar on the weekly to the downside. That's bullish in nature. Because if we look at this low here, price really did dip very, very, very low. 30 pips sweep below this swing low here on the weekly. Then if we move down to the 1 hour time frame, it had a breaker here. But when it dropped, it didn't have that much of a momentum. When you see this type of move, it shows that price is going to still most likely come down. Because with this displacement, if price came down to this breaker here, it's supposed to have continued very, very fast. So that means that we might see one more sweep of this low, then before that energetic move starts. So for this pair, we're looking at a bullish run going into the new week. So dips might be opportunity for a continuation, a bullish run on this pair. But long term, when I mean long term on the daily, this pair is still slightly tilted to the downside. Still slightly tilted to the downside. Because we have the break below. Say, didn't close basically that much below this. So this may still continue back to the upside. If it's going to continue, we might be looking at it coming into this fair value gap. That is between 87.64 to 87.95. So for the Euro GBP, we have a bullish situation going into the new week. For the GBPCHF, the GBPCHF, I believe any rally on this pair might be an opportunity for a short. Let me go to the 4 hour time frame. We have a slight buy side liquidity shift here, sweep here. Then price has dropped. If we go to the 1 hour time frame, we have what looks like a breaker. We have a high, we have a low, we have a slightly higher high, and price has broken below all this. So for this pair, any rally on this pair might be an opportunity for a short down to 1.1100 or 1.1093. So for the GBPCHF, any rally on it will be an opportunity for downside continuation. So the next one we're going to be looking at is the yen basket. So we use the yen basket to gauge the outlook for the yen pair. So looking at this pair is still slightly bearish. Another week or the weekly candle closed with what looks like a doji. That's an indecision candle. If we go to the daily setup, let me put my high joint. We can see that because we have a bearish formation in play. The bearish range is still in play. We don't have a break above this 80.12. So this pair is still, the yen might still move lower. The yen might still move lower. So if we go to the 4 hour time frame, looking at this, for the down move to commence, we need to see something like this. A break below 77.66, then a retracement, then a move down. So that's what this pair is still bearish, but it's bearish, but it's in a bullish correction. So we need to see a break probably below this low, then that will signal a market structure shift, then a retracement, then a continuation down to the downside. And when that happens, if we go to our yen pairs like pound yen, if we go to our yen pairs like the pound yen, because if you look at this pair, it has done a market structure sweep, a buy side liquidity sweep, and then there's this retracement into this daily fair value gap here. Into this daily fair value gap here. And although it's bearish, but it didn't close near its lows. So that points to the fact that we might still see a corrective run. Because if you look at this is a bullish order block here on the daily time frame. this last down candle here before this up move. So price has tapped into it and closed with this bullish candle. So going into the new week, I would say, given what we have on the yen pair, any retracement on this pair might be an opportunity for the long side. So let me look at the 4-hour time frame. So this pair may still dip a bit. There's a possibility it might dip one more time, then continue back to the upside. Then the next pair we're going to be looking at is the euro yen. Still the same thing. Still the same thing. If we look at the euro yen from the daily perspective, we have a break above it. This retracement, then we have this daily fair value gap between this point and this point. And see that it's holding for now. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we need to see, for this move to continue, we need to see something like this. Either a sweep below here, then something like this to continue the upside move. But for now, if price does not give this formation and stays below this swing high here as 148.63, then we might see it dig a little deeper into this fair value gap here. So is there anybody who want me to look at before we call it a night? Hello?
No, none for now.
Okay. Anybody else? So in the absence of that, I wish everybody a beautiful night's sleep. And the recording will be posted to the YouTube channel. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. So I wish everybody a blessed night's sleep and a wonderful weekend ahead. Good night, everybody.